I think what I eventually did was I started writing the moral of the story.
Okay.
Kind of like moral story of where's my head. So as I brainstorm or whatever I finish, I'm like, as in the moral story is, and I started writing. That's when I started writing. All the years of my grind, like I've been doing. So that we'll do context. So the context is me working hard and working on YouTube for the last 10 years since 2013. And so all those years, all that 10 years, it's good that this conversation, this thing is so well aligned, what I'm sharing, because it's exactly 10 years. So I can just be like, literally the last 10 years. So the last 10 years of grind didn't count as much for YouTube, because I was not building, at least not properly. I was not building a successful YouTube career, at least not properly. And what I mean by that is that part of it, I was never building a YouTube career. I was just like making videos and posting on YouTube. Another part of it is I'm trying to figure out, I thought I'm building a YouTube career, but apparently that's not how to do it. So it's not that, I've been building for 10 years.
Yeah.
It's more like I've been figuring things out for 10 years, which is why I ended up building more skill-wise than audience or catalog. Like I don't have any audience after 10 years of it. And I've gone through several phases of audience. If you look at like the local content in Nigeria, then the reaction videos across different fucking genres. But I don't right now have any audience. Why? Because there was a lot of figuring out, and I don't also have any catalog. Let it even be that it's not lucrative.
Yeah.
Like if you say you're done this for 10 years, you'll probably say, here's the catalog. Oh wow. And it's not lucrative, would then be the problem. But I don't have a catalog, I don't have any audience.
Yeah.
That's impossible after 10 years of building. It's not even possible. Like you wouldn't. What we're talking about is even, how much would you have? And how, what would you need to do to get plenty? But I don't have any. It's a testament to the fact that I cannot say that I've done YouTube proper for 10 years. It is not a fair also assessment of myself to expect that I should now be a top YouTuber because I have worked on YouTube for 10 years, but I have nothing to show for it. And if I have nothing to show for it, it's like I have uprooted every seed I have ever planted. So I should not expect any any germination or plant. Even though I've been farming for 10 years, but it's been a lot of, so this is not the best soil. Then I leave it, remove the fruit, throw it away, then go to another soil. This is the best soil, but this kind of fruit, by the time it grows, it's going to only be providing fruit once a year. I want a fucking surplus tree. And so I've been trying to figure out the right place and the right seeds to use to create the best tree. And it took me 10 years of figuring it out. After I figure it out, it's still time. I will still have to then plant it. Then now wait the typical time it takes for it to grow. You understand? So it would be off for me in that situation to now say I've been planting for 10 years and nothing has grown. There's nothing in the ground. You removed all of them, but not in a regretfully, out of necessity to continue to study agriculture and make sure that when you plant the main plant, like you're guaranteed that the result at the end of it is the type of tree you see in your mind. That's I tried to explain it here. I just explained it better now, more than what I even wrote. You understand? So if I want to make income, I was about to say before that, I'm just now about to start building an audience. You understand? It's now that I want to start planting the seed. Like the one for real. The other ones have been experiments. So exactly, you use 10 years of experimenting to understand YouTube. The experiment stage will not count in to building an audience. Building an audience requires dedicatedly and consistently giving them content over a sustained period of time. There is no secret to building an audience. It's obvious. There's only one way to build an audience. To build an audience, a loyal audience, I meant to say, is to give them content they want to see consistently over a long period of time. So working on YouTube for 10 years is not what it takes to succeed. That's not the 10 years to brag about. Is that I have been giving a content, giving people content they want to see consistently for 10 years. That's the one thing I wish I can stand my finger now and say is that I wish I can say for the last 10 years that there is these people that have been giving content consistently within the niche that I want. But I can't say that not because I was silly or there's anything I'll go back and change. It was even because I was smart to not settle for the limitations that were in my front and say, oh, that's the audience that is meant for me. I'm just going to be that guy that reacts to Brazilian videos. So and just be there. I'm just going to be that guy that reacts to K-pop or reacts to KSI music or that guy that makes skits in Nigeria and just leave it at that. You understand? So the reason that's not the case is not from any form of recklessness or immaturity. It's instead from the reverse, which is refusing to settle for less and continuing to abandon everything I was building to continue to learn. Not even abandon, terminate everything I was building to make sure that I was not building something that would live a short period of time until I found what I was sure that when I build this, it's going to live a very, very long time. And you understand? And that took me 10 years to understand and to find. You understand? So now, which means you can even say, in order to feel the way there's a tendency for me to feel now, which is like, man, I've given 10 years to this. I should start then posting consistently, giving content to a specific group of people for the next 10 years in order to feel that. You understand? Because that's how you build a loyal audience. There's no other way. You build a loyal audience by consistently giving content to people, the type of content they want to see for a sustained period of time. That's how you build a loyal audience. So I have paid the dues to understanding YouTube, to running a YouTube channel, creative-wise. I've built the skill. I know how YouTube works. I'm a YouTube expert. I understand the inner workings of it. I understand the industry. And you understand the business, I understand the creators, the relationship between them, how, the niches, all of those things. But that's not how you build a loyal audience. That's how you create content. So the last 10 years of my life, and so this is a good line to have there. The last 10 years of my life was dedicated to mastering content creation. The next 10 years now is what's about to begin. And that is what? To building a loyal audience and a lucrative catalog. You can't build a loyal audience and lucrative catalog if you don't know how to make content. Because we said to build a loyal audience, you have to give them the content they want to see for a sustained period of time. So I've spent the last 10 years learning who this audience are and what content do they want to see. That's the way to put it. I spent the last 10 years learning who the audience are and what content they want to see. Now, it's now that I'm about to start giving them the content. So even though I've spent 10 years, I still need to do this for a period of time before I can find loyal audience. At least 5 years. You understand? Before I can find a loyal audience. But the good news is that I've checked off. I know who these people are. I know what they want. Now it's for me to start giving it to them and let time do its magic. That fucking summarizes all this shit in a much better way. I was kind of just trying to find a way to articulate it here and drop it and do examples. So if I want to make income from YouTube, I have to pay my dues. And that is not the last 10 years of learning. The last 10 years of learning only prepares me to pay the dues. To pay my actual dues, I have to start building and keep momentum up day in, day out for the next 5 to 10 years, non-stop. That's how I pay my dues. That's how I become. It is disrespectful of me to think of myself or disregardful of the effort, and I'm one that don't like to disregard the effort it takes to make something. I appreciate the effort it takes to make important things, to build great things. I appreciate the amount of work and the amount of time it takes. I never feel disappointed that it takes time and effort to create good shit. And as a person who doesn't settle for less, it's an important thing, because I like to say, if you dare to dream, then you have to. That's why some say dare to dream, because it's like, who gave you mind to dream that kind of dream? So if you dare to think of yourself as highly as that, you should be willing to back it up with the right amount of work. So I am always, I respect the amount of work and time it takes to create good shit. And I want real good shit. I've never not wanted loyal audience, lucrative catalog, proper, good one. I don't want, it's not like, oh, it was once this thing. Like, when it's time. I've always talked about that. That's why I almost everything. The last 10 years, literally, it just, no, because it's like, if it's not, it has to be, because when it's time, you know, to go, I put in the work, and because I know I'm putting the work, I need to make sure I'm putting it in the right direction.
Yeah.
That's why it seems like I used to always second guess, but that's not it. Is I'm always critically analyzing to ensure I'm not wasting it, because I'm willing to do the time. When you're a person that is willing to do the time and willing to put the effort, you have to then be, direction becomes your most important element, because you are willing to put in the time, and it means if it's taking 6 years, you are like, I'm patient. But he's like, hey, you're in the wrong direction. But your patience is blocking your eye, because you are down to wait. You are down to deal with all the pain.
Yeah.
So direction is the one of the most important thing. Is the most important thing, but that should never be spoken about until you've gotten every other thing. But as soon as you have every other thing, nothing is more important than direction.
Yeah.
Because all of those things in the wrong direction is still the wrong direction.
Yeah.
But also, if you're just obsessed with the direction, being in direction is not really going to get you anything.
Yeah.
So I have to start. One of the stories that I have to start building and keep momentum up day in, day out for the next 5 to 10 years non-stop, before I raise my head to the scoreboard and say, hey, what did I get? Do you understand?
Yeah, I get it.
Like, I did the same too with the content. Before I raise my head up and ask myself, wait, can I now film videos? Do I understand YouTube? It took many years, 5 to 10 years, before I was like, wait, oh shit. Oh, video production is easy for me. Filmmaking is easy for me. YouTube, oh shit, I understand this shit very well. It took me 5 to 10 years. Now, because I'm older, and I have come a long way, it then feels like, because it feels like I'm going to then go back to like repeating the same thing of this thing. Because of the expectations along the line learning, it then creates the notion of, damn, that was like 5 to 10 years before looking up. Fuck. But when you go back to me 5, 10 years ago, I was not expecting that the next year I'm the fucking greatest this in the world. I did not care. That's funny thing. I did not even not expect it.
Yeah.
I did not. I was disassociated from the scoreboard. I just put my head down and made a new video every day, studied the platforms, did all those things, and not raise my head up. So now I need to put my head down for the next 5 to 10 years and make the best videos I can that the people want to see. The audience that we already know that are my audience want to see. American young audience, predominantly male, US kids. Put my head down, create content for these people for 5 years, 5 to 10 years, before I raise my head up and say, wait, what? You understand?
Yeah.
And so the only thing I'm constantly thinking is, how can I make this video a video they want to see? Because it's not put your head down and just make rubbish.
Yeah.
It's put your head down and then constantly thinking, what do they want to see? What can I adjust? What can I add? What can I remove? What can I add? What can I remove? Just constantly this US kid audience on YouTube. How? What can I do?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Hello? Drop it with the security. Drop it with the security. Don't worry, they are aware. Just give it to them. I don't have to worry about this thing again.
Yeah, nice.
Sweet. And you have to. Influencers don't disagree with that kind of joke. Apparently, neither does Justin Timberlake, because he made a lot of it. So maybe it's just an American thing. So yeah, moral of the primary moral of the story is, I spent the last 10 years perfecting the art of content creation. Now it's time to build an audience. It's time to create content to build an audience. So I've been creating content for 10 years, but I was creating content to master content creation. Now I'm going to create content to build an audience and a lucrative catalog. I spent the last 10 years, 2013 to 2023, creating content to master the art of content creation. Now it's time to spend the next 5 to 10 years creating content to build an audience, and a loyal audience. I want to have a line. Let me say it again. I spent the last 10 years creating content to master the arts of content creation. Now it's time for me to spend the next 10 years creating content to build a loyal audience and a lucrative catalog. Then 10 years from now, I sit down, reevaluate like this, and then talk about how to create content to leverage on the loyal audience and the lucrative catalog to build businesses and spread my wings. And so there's no, what I'm heading out with it is, there's actually no, it's fair. It's been a fair transaction between me and the universe so far. I think I've been doing my part, and I think the universe has been doing its part. I've been getting the result. It's just because of time, if that makes any sense. Because of where I'm standing from, it took me 10 years. Because let's say because phase 1 took me 10 years, and for some average American kids, it takes them 6 months to figure out the art of content creation because they are born in it. For me to figure it out, I had to first come out of Sokoto to Lagos, then come out of Lagos to Nigeria, then come out of Nigeria to Africa, then come out of Africa to America, then I come out from filmmaking world to YouTube. So because of where I'm coming from, it took 10 years for me to, if I could think like this, take notes, I've been thinking about making, like I used to make videos. When I say 10 years, in 2013, I used to carry camera and shoot and edit and upload it to YouTube. That's what we are still doing till now. The difference is that I do not know all that I know now. Information is the difference. It took me 10 years to have all the information that I have now and the wisdom that I have now. That's where the real delay is. And so unlike Mr. Beast, who was also making content 10 years ago, I didn't know what I was doing. He didn't know what he was doing, but he was closer to what he needed to do than I was. So 10 years later, he had gone from not knowing what he was doing to being the biggest YouTuber that I'll probably ever live. But me, it took me 10 years to go from not knowing what I was doing to knowing what I was doing. And now that I know what I'm doing, I have to then start now doing that to see the result. So it's still kind of fair. It's if I start now and go consistently non-stop for 10 years. Mr. Beast has been going since he was 13. He didn't take any break. So massive fair play. It's extreme serious fair play. I've also not stopped creating content creating creative content in the last 10 years. And I see the result. I'm very creative. I'm very imaginative. So fair play too. I put time, I got the result. He put time into building a channel while I was putting time into building a craft. I mastered the craft. He built a channel. You understand? So it's now that I want to start putting time into building a channel proper. And so it needs to take the time it took. And for everybody, it takes time. Even to digress totally off of YouTube and off of the US to Rema, is that I was just looking at the idea that he was in a song with I Spice that day. I was like, it's taking 5 years. Who would have thought when we knew him then that you would think most of those things would happen the following year, even though he had the biggest push that any Afrobeat artist has ever had. Yet it took him 5 years to do all that is happening now. It's crazy. It does take time. It always takes like 5 to 10 years. Wizkid eventually the Drake thing was 2015. That's 5 years after he was already like massive superstar, and that still wasn't even the big deal. The big deal then became Essence 10 years in his 10 years anniversary. Coincidentally, his 10 years anniversary in 2020. That's when the Essence thing happened, and you're like, oh, it's Wizkid. It's like it's Wizkid, and it still took 10 years for him to be able to make a global hit song. He's been trying to make a global hit song since probably 2013 when he first featured Chris Brown. 2012 when he featured 2013 they released it. 2013 he featured Chris Brown. That tells you that he would have loved to be on those charts. He was in Essence. Essence was in. He would have loved to be there in 2013. It's 2021. Almost 10 years later before even he can have it. And I'm using these examples because these are people that are already established. I'm not saying that that's when they blew. After they now blew, they now needed to do the work for that one. And so you look at Mr. Beast now, the channel is all 300 million views, 200 million views. It's taking Mr. Beast almost 6 years of actively being famous and being the biggest YouTuber to now be the size of the biggest YouTuber that he is now. Like he's been the biggest YouTuber since like what 2018, 2019. Now since that time he still didn't get to 100 million views a video, and he was already doing 100 million views then every now and then. He still struggled, and he was never complacent. He never reduced the quality at all. There was no period of then Mr. Beast started making normal videos. Then he went back. He's only done better and better. Yet it's taken him that long to get to this point where he's basically almost a god when it comes to the way people perceive him on YouTube or the size of the audience that he has. So it does take its time. And so when you have this understanding, and why I say it like this, is so that when you think of it, when you give yourself that permission, you have the peace to do the work. If you're going to go on a long journey, you're going to need that mentality. because you keep hitting points in the road that are so early on in the stage, but you are now in a much later stage in your life, and you start to feel like it's not fair. It's like no. Always keep that perspective that no, it's kind of like I started late or I'm coming from far. It's one of the two. And when you keep that perspective, you forgive yourself you forgive yourself, or no, not forgive yourself. You wouldn't be harsh on yourself, and neither would you be harsh on your expectation of reality. You wouldn't be harsh on reality. You wouldn't be harsh on yourself, and you'll make peace with yourself, and you make peace with reality. You understand? And so this explanation I'm giving is to give you that mindset, because it might not be YouTube, it might be anything that you do. You want to be able to apply that mindset of being able to see it and introduce proper perspective and be like, when you really do look at it, and even it's not even that unfortunate, everything has been fair. It's either I started late or I'm coming from very far. As long as you've been doing your part of going, like making sure that you're doing your absolute bestest that you can do, then it's either you are too far, you're coming from so far, so it has to take time, or you started very late and now age is making you think like this is taking long. Meanwhile, it took long for Mr. Beast, but then he was 13, so long meant 23, which is what he was like last 2 years. So long for him meant 23. For you now, you're looking at it, maybe you're 25, maybe you're 26, maybe you're 27, and you're like 10 years, I'll be 37. Oh, it's like, well, but that's not unfair. That's why you showed up. You understand what I'm trying to say? So, but I also don't like to, just as you know, mystify things. So it is important to be very clear that if you really do the work, it's guaranteed. Whether there's no matter what we say about YouTube, whatever. What I always talk about YouTube is not the impossibility of growth; it's the difficulty. Because it's not impossible to grow. I'm just saying that our videos have become so expensive. So being consistent for 5 years is going to cost a lot of money. Yeah. You understand? But I know that if you're consistent, you're still going to grow some audience. You understand? Yeah. Now there were outliers based on tiny window of opportunities that come around. Iraq, Matthew Beam. There comes every now and then a tiny window of opportunity. Sometimes massive one, sometimes not. There's just been one massive one, which is post Mr. Beast, 2020 to 2022. There was a massive window of opportunity. Yeah. Difficult to grasp, but there was a big one. And almost everybody, now kind of slot themselves in through that. Yeah. You understand? So while the door is shut, if you continue to bang, you're going to get in. What we don't know, or what was the problem then, is that the kind of offer that you get when you go in is no longer available. But who knows what happens down the road? Because people were banging the door after David Dobrik came in 2017 and Logan Paul, and thought nothing was going to open. Then Mr. Beast found a way by himself, right? A window of opportunity opened. Now, psychologically speaking, I haven't analyzed. I don't imagine any window of opportunity bigger than the one Mr. Beast grasped. But the statement is bigger than the one Mr. Beast grasped. Who says it has to be bigger? Who says you have to be bigger than Mr. Beast? He's too big. You don't have to be half his size to even fucking be a successful creator. You understand? Yeah. But there's this thing that has entered all creators after Mr. Beast, also because of the way he presented himself. You start to forget that I can be quarter Mr. Beast. Let's use subscriber. Yeah. Quarter Mr. Beast subscribers is 50 million. Nobody still has 50 million subscribers. Literally, no YouTuber that is famous is at 50 million. They are all fucking 15% of Mr. Beast. 5 to 10% of Mr. Beast. Everybody. Era, Trian, everybody. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? So you don't even have to be half Mr. Beast size. But there's a tendency to think, if I'm not able to compete with Mr. Beast, I'm not able to have one Mr. Beast, that means I did not succeed on YouTube. What he has is, you will probably don't even know what to do with it if it was given to you. Like if they gave you 300 million views per video and 200 million subscribers, and all that that comes with that, you probably just be overwhelmed and say maybe cut it in half. Because I see the money, but I don't know what I'm using it at this fast. Like maybe I would like the money, but I don't need it coming in every month for this stress. So can we cut down the stress, cut down the money, then let the money come over the next 5 years? Because I have nothing to do with 100 million like this year. Like I like 100 million, but maybe spread it across 4 years because I have no specific thing I want to do now. So I'm emphasizing this again because when you have these things are not taught anywhere or even spoken about, you're advised to not feel discouraged by your failure or your delayed success. But advice is, as we've learned, is not enough. We need teaching. It's education that is also important. Because yes, okay, I don't want to be discouraged, but I still keep finding myself discouraged. So when you have mindset on the perceptions like this and mindset like this, and you adopt them, they then help you properly now to now be able to take the advice of not be discouraged, because you're able to then, like in this case, be like, oh well, those last 10 years I was creating content. I've been creating content just as since Mr. Beast has been creating content. The difference is that while creating the content, while he was learning, at the same time he was building, because he was not that far from where he needed to be. In comparison to you, that after 10 years you realize, shit, I was doing everything totally wrong, and it took you 10 years to realize that you're doing it wrong because of how far you were, lack of information. You understand? Now you have the information. Now your 10 years begins. You understand? But you spend so much time looking at all these other people that are now done it. It starts to feel like, no, so like I'm going to be like them 10 years ago. This, that. But that's the reality. You really, if you want it, or you start counting the 10 years now, or wait another year, and and it becomes 11 years, and you wait another year, and so now the question is, in summary, was saying that I have to start building and keep momentum up, day in, day out, for the next 5 years, not 5 to 10 years, non-stop. Now the question is, what gets in the way of me being able to start building and keep momentum up day in, day out? You understand? By listing the things that get in the way, I'm able to address them, creating a plan around them. And it's two primary things: financial cost of videos. Videos are cost. The videos that we talked about, making the content that the audience want to see, and we have then learned that the audience that we are trying to create for, we have then learned that the audience we are trying to create for want videos that cost money. The videos they want cost money. So now creating day in, day out for the next 5 to 10 years, videos that cost money is going to cost 5 to 10 years of plenty money. You understand? Now, unfortunately, we have a side hustle that is able to fund at preliminary level some of these videos. But then that brings to problem number 2. That creates limited time. Because of this side hustle, there's not enough time to then make these videos. So even though the side hustle brings $1,000 to make the video, now I have $1,000, but I don't have time to make the video because I spend the time getting the $1,000. And so that's the problem to navigate, which is here, but video 2.